So this is a session you want to mindfully listen to, because it's also giving you an opportunity to ask a question. Thank you so much for coming back and settling down. I request for another microphone to my wonderful panelists and facilitator. We have 2 microphones, so there's going to be a lot of sharing. Are we ready? Are we ready? Yes. Are we ready? Yes. That's better. Who is ready for this session? Thank you. Thank you. So I officially hand over the session to Pili, who is going to be our facilitator for the session. And so
Thank you. Thank you very, very much, Dottie. So just to ensure that we are all aligned, I want us to do a small activity. Please stand. Please stand. Want to ensure that the food imeteremka. All right, so if I say 1, you clap your hands. 1. If I say 2, you stomp your feet. 2. If I say 3, you turn around. 3. And then if I say 4, you sit down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 3. Good people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, clap for yourselves. Clap for yourselves. Thank you so much for being here, coming back on time. We want to get to this session and cover it as a trailer. I commit to intentionally ensure that this session is only 30 minutes long. So please bear with us. We're going to keep it very short and sweet, very brief, but very engaging. I had a chance to read through the book. And if you're like me, the people who like to highlight when you read, I can confirm that my book is yellow. This book is full of nuggets. And not to toot our own horns, but you guys should get this book. If you have not gotten this book, just lean into the wisdom of the women that are seated on this panel and the authors as well. So I'd like to begin by just setting the tone. All of you have applied intentionality in different spheres of life, career, finances, and family as well. But I would like to hear from all of you. So this is a question for everyone. What happened? What shift or habit did you have to do to move from a place where, you have the intentions to actually now following through on them? Right? Because I would say that intentionality is not necessarily a new concept, but getting to the point where now we're moving from having intentions to doing, that could be a journey there. So I'd like to hear from your stories. What happened? What was the shift or habits that you put in place? We could start with Lilian.
Thank you, Philly. I think for me, my one point that I can remember that had made me to be more intentional with life was losing my mom. Appreciating that we have a limited time on this earth and we need to make it worthwhile. Every day we are blessed to live, we have to make it count.
I love that. Over to you, Rebecca.
Sorry. I think for me, really, it's been the learning curve. I'd not say I blame it on COVID. But I think COVID came and a lot of things had to shift. And beyond COVID, again, also you sit and I think there's that reflective moment where you tell yourself, I need to sit and rethink or re-strategize and do things differently. So for me, really, it came with a lot of need to want to learn. So I intentionally told myself I really need to go out and learn more. Because I believe in every situation, every sitting, every aspect of life, you get to learn something. So for me, it was that COVID period that really came with a lot of transition. And I embraced it. Yeah.
I love that. And I love that you talk about transitions. I know Lorna in her book also captures that as well. But let's hear from you, Lorna. What was it for you?
Okay, truth be told, intentionality began with my parents. I could see them. But what really made me now see the aspect of intentionality is when you had already built systems in your career where you work, and then all of a sudden, when the opportunity comes for you to take up a role and then you're not taken, that hit so hard. And I remember God telling me, you will thank me. And I wondered, God, I thank you. I've been working for this organization for many years and this is it? Like, really? And that, for me, that moment came and God told me, you will thank me. Just focus on me. Focus on me doing, like the way you go to a car and they do the panel beating. Just focus on me doing the panel beating for you so that you align yourself and you're rooted in what I want for you. So that is the point where everything changed. And I had to see things in a very different perspective from the way I used to see things. So for me, that's the part that really shook me. Yes.
And you know, funny thing is that I actually highlighted that in your chapter. And allow me to just read it because it's beautifully worded. She said, so she talked about that. And then she said, that season of redirection taught me that closed doors are not always signs of failure. Sometimes they are sacred pauses, invitations to grow deeper roots. God used that moment to reshape how I saw validation, timing, identity. I thought that was absolutely profound. Rebecca, in your chapter, you talk about how sometimes we are unaware of our blind spots, and those blind spots usually hinder our growth or our journey towards intentionality. Tell us a bit about how we can spot our own blind spots and navigate towards that as well.
I think the key thing here is feedback. Feedback is very important, but I think it's a common human thing to not want negative feedback. So in most times you take that feedback as something that's going to, you just don't like me. When somebody tells you something and you think this is not what I want to hear, it really rubs you the wrong way. And so we all, I believe, even when you're in business, you're in the office, we have those colleagues who are very blunt. So somebody comes and tells you something, you're quick to see the negative side. But then again, even in our own homes. But I think if we choose to look at life in as a lesson where you're learning, if somebody says this, just try read into it and see, did they say this for a reason or did they just, throw out a conversation just to hurt me? But then the feedback that we get, it's important that we analyze it and see how is it going to propel me tomorrow. And I think as Lorna said, we need to constantly relook ourselves and see if, the progress, they say, you move, but then are you moving in the right direction? So feedback is very key. Feedback is key in everything you do.
I like that. So are you moving in the right direction? Maybe I'd like to open it up to also the other ladies. I wonder, has anyone else experienced a moment where you had to also confront your own blind spots or adjust your course midstream somehow? How did that fare? What did you do? Walk us through that process as well. Maybe Lorna, Lillian.
Let me share. So I work as an auditor, and essentially my role requires to give an assessment and give feedback. And I realized I focused that energy a lot at work, but I wasn't applying it in my personal life in terms of being very deliberate in the relationships I want to nurture, in the things that I want to do, and more so on self-care. So it was very interesting. You look at a particular function and you're advising them how to get better, but for yourself, you're not sparing the same, or you're not putting the same energy. So for me, the last, I'd say 3-4 years, then that has become something that is important. I'd say it was my blind spot. And life has now taught me that I need to pause and take care of myself, fill my cup, then I can be able to show up.
Okay, I like that. Hold that mic for just one more question, because you've mentioned that you're an auditor right now. And I remember reading your chapter, and what caught me was that you said your journey in like financial discipline and intentionality in when it comes to matters finances began at the tender age of 10. You're clocking 40 in September. First of all, congratulations, yay. But now in hindsight, in retrospect, when you look back, what is like the one strategy or that you'd say made the biggest difference? And for people who've not been fortunate probably to start like when they were younger, but they want to get on that at that point where now they are deliberate and intentional about their finances, should they do? Where should they begin?
I think the best starting point to begin is your mindset, because we start conquering battles with the mindset that we have. So if you have a mindset that is negative, or you perceive money and financial well-being in a negative sense, then that journey is going to be difficult for you. So being very honest with where you are is very important, so that you're able to appreciate. We have different money personalities. There are people who spend, there are people who like to save. So knowing where you are, then you're able to now see what do you have to work with, and now how can you get better. Yeah.
All right, I love that. I want to move to family, because Lorna, I resonated with your chapter when you're talking about family. It felt very nostalgic. You talked about how your parents were intentional in building a structure of love, and how even family dinners, they felt like there were sacred moments. And I would like you to share with us some of the lessons that you drew from that, and how we can apply that in nurturing our relationships, because you really did bring that out when you're writing it in the book.
Yes, my parents were very intentional, without knowing the word of maybe intentionality, how they raised us. You know, my dad, it was non-negotiable for everyone at dinner table, non-negotiable. Because him, as much as he came at night, he used to work, both of them, no matter the time, even if it's 10 p.m. or 11 p.m., my siblings can attest to this. You'll have to wait for dad. No matter how hungry you are, you have to wait for dad to reach home so that everyone can sit at a table. I come from a very humble background, and maybe it's the closeness or the coziness of that home that made us sit together at the table. But those consistency is what I learned about it. Being intentionally, it means being consistent. Sharing that meal a day at a time. As they said, the way to a man's heart is the stomach, but also the way to any other person in life. When you have friends, when you sit down and you eat together, the more you do it intentionally, you become even closer and closer. And that's what I could see, that intentional he was in terms of everyone sitting at the table each and every single day. Every day, imagine for all those years I was there, every single day we sat at that table, ate together, and that's where we shared our experiences. And even for my siblings, it made us even tighter. Sometimes you ask yourself, why am I not tight with my siblings? But those consistent, those small actions that you take, sitting by the table every day, it made us very close. It made us very close to our parents. That's where we shared everything in terms of even spirituality. We shared those meals together, our heartaches, we shared them at that table. So for me, consistency, just doing the same thing on repeat, then you become a master of it.
I love that. And I feel like that chapter for me, it really spoke to me, because like I said, I resonated with it. I grew up in a very loving home, and I know I did not acknowledge my folks last time. So allow me, makosa ilifanyika. Before even we carry on, allow me to just acknowledge my folks. Please, even just stand, Mr. Gishoke, Mrs. Gishoke. If you are ever to look up the dictionary and look for the meaning of intention. If you don't find any other, here is a living demonstration of an intentional man. Thank you so much for everything that you have done for our family. All right, so I want to talk about also careers, because I think that's also really important to us. And Rebecca, in your chapter, you talked about how when you started your career, you were clear in where you wanted to go. This is what I want to do. But because of life circumstances, you ended up pivoting to other things. But still, even while you're pivoting, in the chapter you write that you are still very focused, still very committed. Now, for anyone who has been in the process of pivoting, you know how laborious that place is. And I want to know, what is the place of intentionality, especially in that role, in that in between? And then how also can you advise, and I would also like this for everyone to answer this, for the people who feel like they are probably stuck or they want to move on, to know when to pivot, to quit, or to persevere. So first of all, how do you navigate the in-between? And then what is the advice that you can give to anyone who is feeling like they are stuck?
So, I think our job market is very tricky. So, where do I start? So, career-wise, currently we have a generation which is, we say they speak out, we say their attention span is very little. But again, we need to have that urge to know what you want, where you want to be, and what you want to do. Like, my mom is a retired teacher, and my dad was a journalist. So growing up, I wanted to do something in communication, but then again, I got to a point where I needed to pivot, I needed to shift. So I have, like Claire here, I have done customer service, I have done sales, I've done everything. Because it gets to that point where, what is available is what you should do. And people don't realize, because you start your company tomorrow, you have departments. So each department is something, say for example, if you've worked in sales, you've worked in marketing, you've worked in, accounts, audits. So if you start your firm today, you're able to get, to plug in to every department. So I think we need to get to that point where I throw myself out there. I don't need to sit at home and tell myself I'm waiting for a communications job. But if there's an accounting job, there's a shop that has been opened and they're looking for somebody to do, sales, go in and do it. Earn something as you learn. So I think we need to just change our mindsets beyond, you know where you're aimed at, but then again, as you go to that point where you want to be, try and learn something along the way. So I think it's just a mindset thing. We just need to rethink our steps, because anything can happen. COVID came, people lost jobs, and you just had to work somehow to survive. Yeah.
Right, find those opportunities. I saw Lorna, she was nodding. So I know you want to chime in, so please go ahead.
No, it's quite interesting. I just appreciate that. My career has been up and about. I started in records, went to HR, and I never studied it, but never realized that all these things will make sense. Sometimes God pushes you to a certain level or a certain angle of your life, but sometimes you don't know why. But those things will surely come. You'll be able to understand that it will all make sense when you pick now all those things. And right now, I'm able even to help my husband, who is in real estate, in terms of matters record management, matters HR, creating those JDs. All those things will matter later, the way she's saying now, because whatever we're not confined to a certain job, but later in life we're able to do other things. So I was just agreeing with what she was saying. Yeah.
All right. So Lillian, talk to us about the people who feel like they are stuck and they need to know how to move, to make the next decision. Yeah.
One thing about life, it comes in phases. So I'd say to you, if you're feeling stuck, own that state that you're in. And owning that state is accepting that it might be a difficult time for you. And you will need to either expand your skill set, think about something else that you can do. But life is in phases. I think sometimes we want life to be all glitz and glam, and it's not possible. There has to be the ups and downs. And if you're to actually be, to look back in your life, you'll see even in the places where you felt you're down, you felt you're challenged, those are the times actually we grow. When things are rosy, we tend to be because we've already done the difficult work when the season was low, and when you're feeling that you're stuck and you need to do something about your life. So own your journey, own the phase that you're in, and figure out how you can be able to change. There's something I was watching yesterday, and it was saying that you are in charge of figuring out the solutions to your problems. No one else. There's no one. And that's the story that I keep on telling myself. No one is coming to save me, and no one is coming to save you. You have the potential within you. So figure out what you're learning in that phase and be sure that you're going to use it for the next thing that you're supposed to do, for the next level that you're going into.
You know, speaking of seasons, I've heard you talk about how sometimes it's not even necessarily about how much money you have, but it's about how you manage the money that you have and how you plan for it. So talk to us a little bit about how to go about seasons of uncertainty, especially from a financial perspective as well, as we talk about seasons.
The thing about uncertainty is that's the thing about life. We never know. We never quite know. So we always feel like we're in control, but I always remind myself we are really not in control. You can't say for sure what is going to happen. You can hope, but you can never be sure. The one thing I learned, and this employer was just very good in terms of how they inducted people when they joined the company. This person spoke to us and told us, give your shilling a purpose. If you don't give it a purpose, and giving it a purpose is budgeting. And I think we look at budgeting as being very limiting. And it's because of the perspective that we take to it. You are creating a budget to be very restrictive, but you're not meant to be restricted. You should budget even for things that bring you joy. You have a hobby, you've only budgeted for food, transport, but you have a hobby. So where's the money going to come to finance your hobby? And the reason why we tend to fall off our budgets, off our goals, is because we look at budgeting as being very restrictive. Budgeting is just supposed to help you give a purpose to every shilling. If you're earning in foreign currency, every dollar or every euro that is coming into your hands. Yes.
I love that, naming the money. All right. So as we wrap up, because this is the last theme that I'd love us to address, and it's the theme of adversity. Every chapter has captured some adversity in it, and not to be a prophet of doom, but if you're a Christian, what is promised to us challenges. And for us, it's really to know how to navigate that. In the book, I've read people who've talked about grief, handling that as well. So I'd love for everyone to contribute here to talk about how to handle adversity, like what intentional choices do we need to make to ensure that we heal. I know, Lorna, you talked about healing, so maybe you could go first as well. I know there's also a huge chapter in your book that you have, a segment that you've addressed that as well. So everyone here, how can we make intentional choices to address adversities and the challenges that we face in general?
Okay. Pain has a way. It strips the superficial. That's when you'll know who you really are. You will know who you really are. That's where relationships are tested. They either dissolve or they deepen. And the way I mentioned earlier in my speech that it's not the pain to choose the pen, but it's you to choose the pen. It is not an easy thing. That's why surrender is very important. You surrender to your Creator. He knows why. He knows the end from the beginning. I do not have this is the correct way of dealing with grief or even adversity. But that moment is a place of total surrender because you don't know. You can't see. That's where you have to really glean and lean on God and ask Him, why am I going through these things? How can I come out of this place? Otherwise, you'll just roll on autopilot. But you have to be also intentional. As you surrendered to God, it's also important to know who you really are and be honest with yourself. When it comes to healing, heal with honesty. Heal with honesty. If you've not healed, just ask God and surrender. This me, I'm done. Kindly take charge. That's what I can say.
Very profound. Heal with honesty. All right, Rebecca?
So I think echoing what Lorna has said, I think beyond also prayer, we also need to be very real with ourselves. We need to look for that one person. You cannot have 50 people you can speak to. So just try and have that person you can speak to. You can tell anything. You can just get to that broken point, because we tend to really bottle up a lot of things, which I know something shared is halfway solved. So I think it's important that it's good to trust in prayer, because God will always answer our prayers. But then again, also find a way to also let it out. However you feel works for you, but just find a way to also, release it. Yeah.
All right, so find your tribe. Yes. All right.
I found what helps with grief, with adversity, for me, it's seeking help. And help can be in various forms. It can be going into therapy, because we have people who now have the skill sets to be able to help you through that season. It can also be coaching that helps you in a season of adversity or a challenging season. And this helps because we were meant to live as a community. And that community, it could be, yes, it's good to speak to your family, to speak to your friends, but also I believe some problems require professional help, because we have now people who have the skill set that will actually help you in that season.
So seek professional help.
Yes.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of this session. But before I let our panelists go, I'd just love to give each panelist 1 minute to share their parting shot, and then we'll call it a session. We'll start with, because you just spoke, we can start with Rebecca.
Lorna, you said you're in real estate. Eh? Okay, I'm also in real estate. I work for a company called Kenya Mortgage Refinance Company, and we are offering very good products for Kenyans. So I noticed this is the only opportunity I have to speak about what I do. So yeah, and thank you for being here. And I believe by reading our book, it will impact your lives in one way or the other. Thank you very much.
You're giving me pressure to also market myself. In case you have a child, a youth, who fears standing before people and they love public speaking, they would love to use their voice to impact the world, because your voice matters, your story matters. I am here. Coach Lorna, who is an enthusiast public speaker, communicator, Toastmaster. I'm here for you. But anyway, thank you so much for coming. It has really blessed my heart. And I hope that this book reignites you to be a woman and a man of intentionality. Thank you.
Only children? Can adults apply? asking
Yes,
for?
too. They can become members of Toastmasters.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. What I'd like us to remember, and it's to, I think, why I agreed to participate in the book is because I acknowledge that I don't have it all figured out. And the beautiful thing about storytelling is you're able to pick something that you can now use in the season that you're in. And I hope that this experience is what it's going to be for you, that you're going to go for that thing that you've been afraid to start, pick up that thing that you had left behind, and you'll keep on going because now the beauty of the stories that we are telling is stories that we can be able to relate with. We are not reading about someone who is far away. It's stories about you and me. So I hope we keep challenging each other and we keep reigniting that fire within us.
Thank you. Did they do a good job? Round of applause for them. Thank you. Thank you so much.